لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Today I came here not with an intention to deliver a speech, but with an intention of sampling the facts and figures presented before me. This is not something new. In fact, I remember it from a long association with different works of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya, that whenever facts and figures were presented to me, I would always try to sample their validity and find out the exact nature of the type of work which was being done. I remember sometimes I went on tour and there was a large gathering of people waiting for me to address them. Instead, I would start asking samples from here and there as to how best they can recite the kalima, how they know the namaz, and if they do perform namaz daily or not, and so on and so forth. The result of this habit bore me very rich fruits, because then I was not connected with the grassroots level khuddam and other members of the Jamaat through the channel of reporting only. Then I knew directly what was happening anywhere. And many a time I was deeply disappointed to discover that the reports painted a very different picture from the realities of life. So when I started doing it, then everybody was far more careful than ever before. Then the numbers, instead of swelling every year, began to squeeze and drop, sometimes to an order that it worried me. I remember when I first applied this method in Waqf-e-Jadid, the Muallimeen at that time were gathering the baths, as we call initiations, and they tried to pick the fruit even if it was raw. They wouldn't care. They wanted the number to be shown in black and white in their reports. So suddenly they were in for a big surprise when I started sampling, going to places, and I traveled a lot during those days, by bus, by tonga, on foot, whatever means was available to me. I would go far and wide, visit villages, and ask them to produce the fruit I want to see. And somebody told me they were interested, they went away. Somebody told me that perhaps their fruit was taken over by Khudamul Ahmadiyya or Ansarullah or Jamaat, and so on and so forth. So So when I applied this stiff check, I remember the next year the figures dropped like a ton of weight, and ton of bricks they call it in English, and I was worried about the results of Waqf being so poor. But then with the application of planning, with hard, perseverant work, they began to grow once again, but this time this was the real one. And whenever I checked, I found it to be true reporting. So I thought this afternoon, why not try this on Lajna Imaillah UK? And here I am, to try it before everybody. If they prove to be the correct figures as they are presented to me, then I'll be the happiest man who would return home from this conference of yours. If it's the other way around, then also I'll return contented, at least to the degree that from now on you will take the lesson, and before gleaning the facts from here and there, be sure and doubly sure that what you tell me is truth and nothing but the truth. Now here I must apologize for using the expression truth. I don't mean people mislead me intentionally, with intention. I don't expect this of your Lajna office bearers at all. I don't mean that they consciously mislead me. But what I mean is simply this, that they themselves do not know the validity of the facts which have been presented to them. And on this issue I have spoken before many a time, also in America, that it is highly important for all our organizations to first check the facts which are presented to them, and then send them after they're fully satisfied as to the truth and the validity and the authenticity of the facts. And that is not all. If the facts are right, even then there are many loopholes. Particularly tarbiyat work is very difficult indeed. And the foundation laying is the most difficult of all the building process that you're involved in. It's most highly important and also difficult. Any flaws left in the foundation degenerate and grow bigger and inflate. The taller the building becomes, more likely it is to fall to pieces at the slightest earthquake if the foundation is not sound. So building of large, tall, impressive buildings is not safe until the foundations are sound and strong and well built. And with reference to the Tarbiyat program here, what I mean by foundation is the minimum which is required for a Muslim to be a good Muslim, a practicing Muslim, in ordinary daily life. Now, a standard has to be very clearly defined and kept in view by all the office bearers, so that they are reminded that this is the minimum we must achieve. And once they achieve that minimum, then would be the question of maintenance. Because once you teach children the namaz and forget about it, they too are likely to forget about it. So it's a constant issue of vigilance and monitoring. Otherwise, foundations cannot be sound. A hurriedly built foundation so collapses in no time. That is why it is advised that once you build a foundation of a house, leave it for a while. Let it settle down until it has become a compact thing. So compaction is a highly important part, and compaction is carried out by time as well as by application of some machines. some pounding machines sometimes are used to make the soil compact. So this is my idea for tonight. And here I am for sampling. Please read the first figures. First of all, I would like to see the Bosnian Nasrat here. Where are they? Any Bosnian member of Nasrat? You're not Bosnian, are you? So none. Next, please. The figures which you read in your report, start from the beginning and start reading the figures one after the other. Just the figures of what you have achieved.
First word about Tajneed.
Huh?
First word about Tajneed. Should I leave these? The Tajneed ones?
Leave Tajneed alone, it's all right. I can see there are quite a few people here.
Nasrat.
The house is full. This is a full mark to you and your organization.
There were 181 girls who passed the first standard of the Nasrat.
Which is?
Have you got that, Simon? The Nasrat standard?
What is the total number of Nasrat in this country?
586.
Now, 586. And how many are present?
A lot of the Nasrat
In this?
today.
Huh?
They have gone because their Ijtema was yesterday. There are few girls today present here.
Just a few left. I see. Will I be fortunate enough to find some of the 180 among those few who are left here? So ask them to raise their hands.
Who are the Nasrat who have passed the first standard?
How many Nasrat are present here who passed the first standard mentioned in the report? You have? Who else? All right, that hand raised over there with bangles and red shirt. Yes? You have passed this examination? When? How many months ago? Last year. But we are talking of this year, not of last year. Could you find some girl present here who is fortunate to be among the 180 Nasrat who passed their first standard examination? You are. All right, come forward. What was the standard?
Kalima Tayyibah, names of the 5 daily prayers, and the prayer Rabbi Zidni Ilma, namaz of the Surah Fatiha.
With translation?
Perhaps she will testify.
Now, you are the daughter of Pagban? Farooq Ahmed Khan. Okay. Where you are from? Birmingham? Chester, right? And now we are going, she is going to read the list of things, stand here in front, list of things which were taught to you by Lajna this year, right? 1, Kalema. Did you know Kalema before it was taught to you by Lajna? Okay, next item.
Names of the 5 daily prayers.
Did you know the names of the 5 daily prayers before they were taught to you by Lajna? Okay, thank you. Next.
The prayer Rabbi Zidni Ilma.
Huh?
The prayer Rabbi Zidni Ilma.
Did you remember this before you joined the class? Okay, next.
So she's a specimen on her own because in her Jamaat, I think she's the only one girl.
No, let me do it my way, please. I know what I'm talking about. Yes, please, read it.
Namaz of Surah Fatiha.
Did you remember it before you joined the class? All right, next.
Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-Kawthar.
Al-Ikhlas, not Ikhlas. You remember that even before. Anything you learned from that class which you had not learned before? 1. Only one thing. All right, read out the list. Let's exhaust it.
Then the prayer recited before and after eating meals, the two prayers.
Did you remember that? Sure? Or read it now. The prayer which you recite before eating the meal and after eating the meal. You say Auz Billah? And then what? That is all. No. Something else as well, no? All right, afterwards. At'ama? What? Right, excellent. You know the meaning as well? So that means full marks to your parents for sending you well prepared to the Lajna class, so that you did not have to learn anything from there. You knew already what was about to be taught to you. Correct? Anything which you have learnt there? You see, so you have passed the test of being a good Ahmadi girl, born in a very good Ahmadi family. But you have not passed the test to be here tonight, because I wanted to find out someone who had learned things from the class, and I wanted to find out if everybody had retained the knowledge she gained during the class. So you don't pass that test because you already know that, everything, right? Jazakumullah. Thank you. Next.
Her mother is trying to say something.
Beg pardon?
We have only one member. We are from North Wales. We've only got one.
No, I know that. I know you very well.
We've only got 10 members of Nasrat, and I hold the class in my house. And we've got one.
No, this is whatever you do, the credit cannot be transferred from you to Lajna Imaillah as such. Still, you are a mother first. Now tell me honestly, if you had not been an office bearer of Lajna Imaillah, had you not taught all these things to your daughter? That's the question. Right? Thank you for generosity, but this is how it is. There is so much yet to come, please. Next item. Next item. Any other girl here who participated in the class and learned things which she had not known before joining the class? Any other girl? Yes? Are you a member of Nasrat? No, so sit down. Next please, next item.
144 girls passed standard 2.
144 Nasrat members passed standard 2. Out of those 142, how many are here? Now I'm sure they have all gone behind the scene. See, this is the proper use of the expression. Where are they? Huh? Come on. All right, Sabah, come here. Just one girl left here. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Sabah? Fine? When you joined this class of Standard 2, did you learn some things which you had not known before, which you did not remember before? Good. Read the standard, please.
Kalima Shahadat.
You don't remember? You didn't know that before you joined the class, and you appear for Standard 2, and you had not known Kalima Shahadat by that time. That's what I'm saying, yes? You knew it, didn't you? Next, please.
Ablution and namaz up to at-tashahhud.
At-tashahhud. Ablution.
Ablution.
Wuzu. You know wuzu? Did you know it before? How do you do it?
First, wash your right hand.
Wash your hands.
Yes, right hand first.
Right hand first, then second. Not together? Huh? No, you do it together. And how many times? Okay, then what you do? Huh? After this you do this? No. I'm sure Lajna didn't teach you that. And that is what you learned from the class. And this is the daily practice now. Before you go to prayer, you do wuzu the way you have just described. No? Differently. And why don't you tell me differently, how differently you do that? Okay, you know the namaz? Can you recite Surah Fatiha? Huh? Do please. No, A'udhu Billah first. Right. What is the meaning of Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in?
You learn to worship and you learn to
Excellent, right? And next, after Surah Fatiha, you recite some surah of the Holy Quran. Which ones you remember? Excellent, mashallah. And you know the meaning as well? No? They were not taught to you? The meaning was not taught? But you have forgotten. And Surah Fatiha you knew before you came to join the class. It's not something you learned new. Right. The only thing which you learned fresh or new was the translation of Surah Tawheed, Surah Ikhlas, Qul Huwallahu Ahad. But that you have forgotten, right? And what about this, what do you say in ruku, when you go in ruku? Subhana? Well, Allah. Are you sure? No, I'm saying ruku. Right. And you know the meaning? Try. All right. When you stand up, what do you say? What does it mean? And did they teach you? Yes. And then you go to sajda. What do you say that? What say there? Huh? And you know the meaning? No. So unfortunately, what you had learnt already before you joined the class is retained in your memory. What you were taught in the class, you have forgotten. Correct?
I remember half, but I'm not sure.
But when you passed freshly from the class, then you remembered it. You must have passed, otherwise you could, after you remembering that, otherwise you couldn't have been declared pass. Correct? That's it. Thank you, Jazakallah. I know what I wanted to know. Next. Huh? No, this is not. No, please. Let me work my way. Next.
93 girls passed Standard 3.
Standard 3. Which is what? Read the title of Standard 3.
Kalima Tanjeed and Kalima Tawheed with translation.
All right. What else?
Finish the Holy Quran without translation with particular attention given to pronunciation.
Finished?
Complete, I suppose.
Completed the recitation, not the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran was completed at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nobody can complete it afterwards. So we should be careful. This is not a big fault. This is generally done by people. Only you should know, and everybody should remember that you should never say, we have finished the Quran, If you attempt to finish the Quran will finish you. Nobody can finish the Quran. But we all can finish the recitation of the Quran. Similarly, we cannot perfect the Quran, it's already perfect. So we can complete again the recitation of the Quran, and that is why I'm telling you this, because some people are careless, and out of respect for the Quran, we should be very careful in the words in application to the Quran. Next, please.
First 17 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah with translation.
Where are they?
Is there anybody here who has passed the third standard of Nasrat?
Anyone who has passed the third standard of Nasrat present here? You are? Come on. Come on to the stage. Here's a brave girl, you know. Assalamu alaikum. Your name, please? You're from? Huh? South East London. You had forgotten, huh? Yes. And who are your parents, please? Right. So I expect you to have learned all these things before you join the class, because I know your parents, and I expect this of them, that they must have taught you these things. Is it right or wrong? Huh? Right? And so you remember them? Are you sure? Or recite the first 17 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Shabash, come here. Come here. Doing well so far, very good.
يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون. وبالآخرة. وبالآخرة.
Akhirat? No. What does akhirat mean? You know the meaning of this? She told me she had taught you the meaning of all this. You've forgotten? So that which was taught to you during the class, you have forgotten. What you remembered before, you still remember, right? You have completely forgotten the meaning? Oh, poor thing. Go back. Go back. Next, please.
According to our reports, total number of girls who know Namaz Nazra is 273.
Who know Namaz Nazra 273. Right? And how many of them are here today? All of the Nasrat who know Namaz, who have learnt Namaz. Now Lajna, Sadr Sahib Lajna Imaillah had suddenly remembered, and I must say to her advantage, that we must vacate this hall by 8 o'clock. Thank you for that reminder. How she might have wished it was earlier. Now, this is not any particular fault of this Lajna. As I have told you, this is my long experience with every organization. They like to glean reports, collect them, and they are quite honest about it, but they are not thorough enough to delve deeper into the origin of those reports and go to the roots and find out how much of these reports are based on real hard facts. Now, even if they were true in the beginning, they do not retain the quality for long. Because when you teach some children, or even grown-ups, in some rush, within a matter of a few days you cram them with so much to be remembered, then as soon as that trial is over, they begin to shed whatever they had learned. This is a phenomenon which is universal, and all students know that. When they appear in the examination, they know so much, they have crammed hard so many facts, but as the examination is over, they sleep over the facts, and then gradually they begin to peter out from their memory. So that is why it is highly important, and this is my lesson tonight for you. Whatever you collect by way of information from your subordinate Lajnas, have a system of applying tests to all these reports, and have a vigilance system introduced into Lajna, a monitoring system which is constantly aware of what is happening and which is constantly checking as to the after effect of your exercises after certain periods. That is to say, periodic check is highly important. If you teach these children the Holy Quran, say a few verses, still if they are not made to realize that they should recite them daily, they should try to retain the meaning in their memory, it's far more likely for them to forget them, and what is left with them is only a certificate by Lajna. These certificates will not go into the grave with us, but if we remember them and use them daily in our life and draw our lessons from the teachings of the Quran, that is our fruit, and that is the fruit of the labor of all Ahmadi organizations. So I wanted to demonstrate to you that just to go by reports is not a wise way. You should change your attitude to your reports. Don't go after swelling of numbers. A much smaller report, which is realistic, which is lasting, which can be tested any time and proved right, that is far more welcome than an inflated report which is proved to be wrong or defective or hollow in places. So what I have noticed is there are very few Ahmadi girls who remember the namaz correctly as they should remember, and remember the meaning of the namaz as they should remember. And many among you have grown up, have gone into the stage of Lajna, and they have done so undetected by the eyes and sight of Jamaat. So what sort of mothers would they be? What can they teach to their children? And this is a grave responsibility on our shoulders of this generation, that we must be able to teach the minimum necessary of Islam to our generation, coming generation, so that they take over the responsibility happily for their generation to come. Now, if you do it solidly, inch by inch, slowly, but with certainty that what you are doing is settling down permanently, this is good foundation. And if you build a good foundation, however insignificant it may appear to begin with, small numbers, insignificant numbers, which are not noticed obviously. But this is how all the foundations are. They disappear from the scene, from the site. What you see is a beautiful, tall, gigantic building, and the poor foundations, they totally disappear from the site. But if they are not built properly, with full attention, then the building would collapse one day and it would be meaningless. It cannot withstand the test of time or the test of earthquakes, etc. So this is why I gave you a small sample of reporting method established in the Jamaat. You must change these things. When you tell me that we have got 50 Ahmadi girls who know the namaz, who know the meaning, then I would like them to be presented to me not after 1 year during Ijtema alone. Whenever you can bring a few of them to London to meet me, I would like to inquire from them what they have learned and satisfy myself regarding the quality of the learning they are having, the knowledge that is being bestowed upon them. So there's very little time left for me to say other things, but I require not only the Central Lajna Imaillah, but all the office bearers in different townships, cities, etc. They should put their heads together and in memory of what happened tonight and which you witnessed tonight, plan locally in their own respective regions. Do not wait for the instructions to come from Lajna Imaillah Central. Start first sampling yourself as to what is the quality of Lajna members under your care. And that is something also which I learned from my experience when Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis told me to take charge of Waqf-e-Jadid, which was a completely new institution, the third Waqf, Sadr Anjuman and Tariq-e-Jadid, and this was the third. Independent organization, not a sub-organization, but an independent organization. It asked me to take charge of this newly instituted department. What I did was, I first of all set my task before myself. I said the purpose is to enrich the knowledge of the people in the villages, at least to the degree that we can say with confidence that they know that little which is essential for their spiritual survival as Muslims. And in this regard, I chose a very small number of items of curriculum, like kalima, like namaz, like the wuzu, as you have just heard, they have done rightly so, and how to do it, and all the concomitant things which you require about wuzu, how it breaks, how can you retain it, and when you are traveling, then what happens. So, small number of items, but taught in depth and covering all aspects of those few items. But before starting the education at the grassroots level, I first sent Muallimeen, whichever was available at that time, and I sought help from Khudam and others as well to borrow their inspectors to fan out into the villages of Ahmadi villages of Pakistan, and to start sampling. I gave them a proforma that you, in the light of this proforma, find out how many Ahmadis qualify to be called people of the minimum necessary knowledge and practice. 5 times prayer, for instance, was also on the practice list, and for grown-up men, it was considered essential that whenever they could attend a mosque for a congregational prayer, they would always go to the mosque for the congregational prayer and do not perform it individually. Now the results were absolutely dampening, so shocking, but I expected them. I knew the system of how we were teaching things. Ahmadis developed in a different form, the way, though regular schooling was done to them. At the time of Hazrat Masih Maud, it was sheer enthusiasm and love for the message, which taught even old people who were ignorant of all of the things, but they started learning the namaz, even remembering, memorizing the Quran, etc., etc. It was sheer force of love of the message which became their instructor. So in the second generation and the third generation, this standard of dedication naturally dropped, and with the result, which was devastating, as I have just told you. In one big Jamaat, I'm keeping count of the time, in one big Jamaat in a village, the Jamaat consisted of 100 and some, I don't remember the exact number, but beyond 100 grown-up members, children and women, all over and above that. I think it was around 150 or more. And I sent an inspector to go to the mosque, not to make any inquiries, go and sit there and say 5 times prayer in that mosque, and count the number of worshippers who appear for every namaz. And the maximum number which grew at Maghrib time was 10. And in the morning there were 2 or 3 at most. So having collected the data, then whenever I posted a Muallim anywhere, I told him, this is your 0 point. You start from here. Now send your reports with reference to the starting point and tell me how many more Ahmadis you have gained who start going to the mosque. Now when reports came, they were very encouraging, because villagers are simple-minded, although they are not highly educated or even moderately educated people, but they are dedicated. They are true, simple, honest people. So when they were told that you are not a Muslim as long as you perform all these minimal requirements of a Muslim, they responded beautifully. So in the same place, when I received the reports, very encouraging reports from the Muallim which I had posted, instead of asking him to count again, I borrowed an inspector from another institution, told him to do the same thing all over again. Sit there for 5 prayers and count them and give me the number. Now, I was absolutely amazed to find that he added a 6th one, that was Tahajjud. And he said there were 110 Ahmadis performing their Tahajjud in the mosque. So this was a transformation brought about which was real, which was not fictional. But when you come to teaching, it is more difficult in the villages. In the cities, it's the opposite. Teaching is easier because of the high standard of knowledge and education, and practice is more difficult. So here, what I require of Lajna is to attend to these 2 branches separately, with some people appointed for the very task of taking care of teaching, and 1 branch for taking care of the practices. And then go about it as thoroughly as I have explained to you. And then I should not wait for full 1 year to examine these things, because I know even then the time will be over before I have started. So I want it to be a regular feature of your reports and your performance which you present to me. Allah bless you all. And I must once again say that it's no fault of these poor Lajna women and girls. They have done whatever they could. They're doing putting a lot of honest work into Lajna. But they need further training. They need their attitudes to be improved and changed. So Allah bless you all, and this is what I am directly requiring of you all. I said all office bearers. Now I enlarge this to all who are present and listening to me. They assist their office bearers if they sleep over these things. If they can take things in their own hands, they should start doing it. Because already we have lost a lot of time. First I need Ahmadi girls to be up to the minimum necessary standard in knowledge and in practice. Then of course I'll turn to the issue of converting others. I wanted to say something on this, but after this sampling I have decided not to. Improve your quality and pray, and then inshallah your preaching will start bearing you fruit. Allah bless you, and let's join in silent prayer now, please.